In March of 2000, Sony dropped a bombshell in the gaming world, the PlayStation 2. Released at the dawn of the new millennium, the PlayStation 2 arrived just as DVDs were taking over and broadband internet was starting to reshape how people lived and played. Its ability to double as a DVD player gave it a spot in millions of living rooms, while its enormous game library kept players hooked for years. Over 3,800 titles were released for the PlayStation 2 worldwide, spanning every genre imaginable. That staggering variety helped push the console's lifetime game sales past 1.5 billion units, a number no other home console has touched. From gritty action to deep role-playing adventures, the PS2 had a little something for everyone. So which titles led the charge? Today on Mike's Retro Games, we'll be counting down the top 10 best-selling games on the PlayStation 2. Captivating players from the start, Square's Kingdom Hearts launched in March 2002 with a bold, enchanting vision. On paper, mixing Final Fantasy characters with Disney icons seemed risky. In practice, it was a phenomenon. Players followed Sora, a young boy wielding a giant keyblade, as he traveled through gorgeously animated worlds based on Disney classics like Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, and Peter Pan. The action RPG combat was fluid and accessible, while the emotionally layered story captured both younger players and longtime JRPG fans. Its heartfelt narrative and unique visual style helped it stick in the minds of players long after the credits rolled. With 5.9 million copies sold, Kingdom Hearts turned what seemed like a strange crossover into one of the most beloved franchises of its era. By the time Final Fantasy XII was released in March 2006, expectations were sky high. The franchise had already delivered some of the PlayStation's most iconic RPGs, but this new entry took bold steps forward. Gone were random battles and turn-based commands. Instead, players explored sprawling worlds filled with real-time combat and AI-controlled allies. The game's political storyline, inspired by Star Wars and classic war epics, offered a more mature tone than previous entries. Set in the richly detailed world of Ivalice, the game pushed the PS2's graphical capabilities to their limits. With over 6 million copies sold, Final Fantasy XII carved out its own identity in a series known for reinvention. Arcade cabinets may have drawn first blood, but Tekken V proved that home consoles could deliver the same hard-hitting thrill. The series bounced back in a big way with this entry, which launched on PlayStation 2 in March 2005. Fans quickly noticed how much smoother and faster the fights felt compared to its predecessor. The massive character roster gave every player a favorite, from returning icons like Jin and Nina to fresh faces who brought new fighting styles to the mix. Alongside the main game, players could explore a story-driven beat-em-up mode and revisit earlier entries through fully playable arcade versions. Selling 6 million units worldwide, Tekken V stood tall as a high point for the franchise and one of the most beloved fighting games for the PS2. Few games arrived with more hype than Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty. After the massive success of the original, fans expected cinematic storytelling and stealth gameplay pushed to the next level, and that's exactly what they got. When it launched in November 2001, MGS2 left a lasting impression with unmatched visuals and a narrative that challenged players' expectations at every turn. Trading Solid Snake for newcomer Raiden was a bold move, but the game's layered story and dynamic environments kept players invested. From sneaking through rain-soaked tankers to avoiding detection at a massive offshore facility, every moment felt carefully crafted. With 7 million copies sold, Sons of Liberty helped redefine what storytelling in video games could look like on a mainstream console. Grand Theft Auto 3 introduced a kind of freedom players hadn't seen before. Released in October 2001, it dropped you into Liberty City with no hand-holding and no obvious boundaries. You could drive for hours, follow a stranger, or cause trouble just to see what happens next. Its darkly humorous tone gave missions a gritty cinematic edge. The story followed a low-level criminal working his way through a world of shifting loyalties and quiet betrayals, but it was the city itself that stole the spotlight. Every part of it felt lived in, from the crooked alleyways to the blaring radio stations echoing out of stolen cars. With 11.6 million copies sold, this game reshaped the industry and made open-world design a new standard for blockbuster titles. Gran Turismo 4 wasn't built for quick thrills. It demanded players learn braking points, memorize track layouts, and treat every race like a test of discipline, which is probably why I was never very good at it. Released in December 2004 in Japan and early 2005 elsewhere, the game arrived with over 700 cars and dozens of tracks, all meticulously crafted to match their real-world counterparts. Players spent hours unlocking licenses and tuning engines, chasing perfection one lap at a time. The attention to detail set a new bar for realism on consoles, with a physics system that demanded precision instead of luck. Gran Turismo 4 would go on to sell 11.8 million copies worldwide. Here's a few games that nearly cracked the top 10 worldwide.
And he got all of that one, a great kick. The offense is heading out onto the field for their
in position. It's showtime, girls.
The moment Tommy Vercetti stepped out of the airport and into the sun-drenched streets of Vice City, players found themselves in an 80s-themed open-world crime and action simulator. Released in October 2002, Grand Theft Auto Vice City expanded on what GTA 3 had started, but brought a stronger sense of atmosphere and character. The game leaned into its 1980s setting without turning it into a gimmick, giving the city its own neon flair. Celebrity voice acting, including talents like Ray Liotta, Burt Reynolds, Dennis Hopper, and even Jenna Jameson, added a layer of cinematic authenticity to the experience. With 14.2 million copies sold, Vice City proved that a well-rounded setting could elevate an open-world game beyond mechanics and mission design. Gran Turismo 3 arrived in April 2001, early in the PS2's life, and immediately raised expectations for how realistic a console racer could feel. Players were blown away by the level of realism, both in the visuals and in the tinkering that could be done under the hood. The game trimmed its car roster from previous entries, but poured much more detail into each vehicle. Players could put their lines to the test with time trials and test their stamina with endurance races. Tracks felt tighter, and the improved physics gave players more control over how their decisions affected the outcome of each race. With 14.9 million copies sold, the game found success by leaning into precision and realism, delivering an experience that rewarded patience and skill across every lap. Few games captured the imagination of PS2 players quite like Grand Theft Auto's San Andreas. Released in October 2004, it took the open world formula to a new level, giving players an entire state to explore, from urban sprawl to small towns and dusty highways. While earlier entries took cues from mob movies, San Andreas drew heavily from early 90s Los Angeles, reflecting the era's gang conflicts and shifting power on the streets. The story followed CJ, a former gang member pulled back into a world shaped by violence and loyalty. With a dynamic open world and iconic 90s era soundtrack, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas would go on to sell 17.3 million copies on the PS2 worldwide, even if CJ didn't follow the damn train. Hey, Mike here. Thanks for watching the video. Since you've made it this far, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. New videos are always getting released. If you're ready for more, check out the 2 links to sate your appetite. Until next time.